Ukraine's leaders are now calling for a meeting with Russia, and Germany's chancellor is scheduled to go to Moscow and Kiev this weekend to meet with Presidents Putin and Zelensky. The danger is clear. War could break out in Ukraine any day.
President Biden spoke to both presidents this weekend. He vowed that the United States will respond swiftly with crippling economic sanctions against Russia if it invades. George Thomas reports from Lviv, Ukraine, near the border with Poland, where Ukrainians are preparing for the worst.
2014, when Russian-backed separatists invaded eastern Ukraine, thousands of folks fled west to cities like Lviv. And today, with the threat of another Russian invasion, authorities here and across western Ukraine are bracing for 5 million refugees. We've seen the images the past few weeks. Russia adding forces and military hardware, inching ever so close to surrounding their neighbor, while Ukrainians holding almost daily drills ready to defend their country.
People are worried, but we encourage them to look to Jesus with all of our might, because it's only through prayer that we can keep peace in our country.
70% of Pastor Dimitrios' congregation is from eastern Ukraine, many of them escaping ongoing violence there.
My heart right now is with my relatives I left behind in Donetsk. My mom, my sister, and my grandmother. But they cannot leave this territory, and it breaks me.
With weekend talks between President Biden and Russia's President Vladimir Putin failing to calm growing tension, the White House continues to warn of major military action.
We're in the window when a Russian invasion could start at any time if President Putin so decides. That includes in the coming days.
Foreign embassies, including the United States, moving staff here to Lviv, near the Polish border. And just as that's happening, in a small upper room near Lviv's city center, Christians from across Africa praying for their host country, ready to be hands and feet of Jesus to those who may have to flee.
As Christians and as people of God, it's our job and it's our duty to pray for the whole world, because the Lord wants peace.
On the other side of town, area pastors met Sunday night for a time of planning and prayer, many telling CBN News what's at stake for their country.
This is ultimately a fight for freedom.
Valery Marchenko's brother pastors a church in an eastern area occupied by Russian separatists.
They are forbidden from having church meetings together, but they still do it secretly. And I think this is what will happen if Russia invades. But the truth is that it is impossible to stop the Church of Jesus Christ.
And it's that church here in Lviv that's continuing to preach hope and peace in the midst of uncertainty. George Thomas, CBN News, Lviv, Ukraine.
Well, George Thomas is now with us from Ukraine. So, George, the Ukrainians are asking for a meeting with the Russians. What do you expect the talk to be? Are they going to ask, are your troops just passing by?
Yeah, absolutely, Gordon. As you know, both Ukraine and Russia are members of the Organization for Security and Cooperation, the OSCE. About 57 countries, Gordon, make up this organization. And in fact, part of the organization's platform is that if one country feels that the other country is posing a military threat in any shape or form, that country has every right to present and ask the other country to say, hey, what's up? Why are you doing this? And exactly that's Ukraine's foreign minister says he wants to have a meeting with his counterpart in Russia to say, hey, what's up with these 130,000 troops that are massing around our border? What are your intentions? What do you plan to do?
Well, the list of countries urging citizens to evacuate immediately, it's growing by the day. How real is the threat of invasion?
Just like the White House said, from the White House National Security to to our State Department Representative Antony Blinken, to Prime Minister Johnson, who said, look, we are at a tipping point. All indications are that Russia is ready. They've got all the equipment, all the forces ready to pounce on Ukraine. And as Secretary Blinken said in my piece, it could be a matter of days.
Well, you've been on the ground several days in Ukraine. So how are people handling this? What's the atmosphere like?
Gordon, it really is a stark contrast. I arrived, as you mentioned, a couple of days ago in Kyiv, the capital city, and it was a sense of fear, trepidation, people going to the stores, getting their supplies, food and so forth. But, the reality, the malls were packed, the streets were busy, the cafes, the restaurants were busy. And as I talked to people, not just in Kyiv, but in Kharkiv, in Donbass, in Mariupol, and here in Lviv, they say to me, George, we've been dealing with war for the last 8 years. You journalists just appeared on the scene in the last 2-3 weeks. The reality is that we have lived under the threat, under war for the last 8 years in the East. But clearly, there is a sense, Gordon, just since President Biden announced last week that the U.S. Personnel need to get out of the country, there's been a shift in the mood in the country here. And people are beginning to say, wow, what really are Russia's intentions? And what is the reason for them to even think about invading our beloved country?
Well, George, thanks for the eyewitness account, and please stay safe.